Hi, this is Nivedita, and today we have our guest Pratibha Narayanan, and she has a whole range of experience. And as an educator, and as a parent, and as a school owner, I must say this is a whole range. I mean, she has had the experience of the ecosystem of Delhi in her studies, ecosystem of Europe while studying, and then in the not so privileged spaces in Mumbai. So it kind of covers a whole range of experiencing the education in a global context. So that is an interest area for me. But first, I want to ask you, what is LEAP, and what is the excitement around entrepreneurship in students?
Firstly, thank you so much for having me, and thank you for that introduction. So I'll jump right in. As a lot of us might have read the recent new education policy that came out, the government has now emphasized a lot of learning beyond academics or beyond the textbook and beyond the classrooms. And one of the things that strongly stands out is building an entrepreneurship and innovative mindset for our students.
Right.
To not just let them be followers of a certain track, but to have abilities like problem solving and creativity in all our students, so that they can contribute much more as they grow up. And LEAPS is a program that we designed which is aimed exactly in this direction. So LEAP stands for Learning Entrepreneurship and Problem Solving. It was originally designed by two IIT Madras graduates who currently are the co-founders of Involve, where I work. They designed it during college as a course for college students to learn about entrepreneurship from their own experiences. And it was during this lockdown when students were out of school. There was no activity happening for the students besides the 1 or 2 hours of online classes that they were attending. We realized that there is a space for students to actually gain a lot more experience during this time. So we decided to transfer this entire entrepreneurship program and basically change it to suit high school students, and made it an entirely virtual program. So now this program is like a 2-week long experiential entrepreneurship program that we've designed, which is very suited to grades 9 to 12, so high school students basically. And the idea is that they don't just get like theoretical knowledge of what entrepreneurship is, because there's tons of information out there about it, but for a child to experience it is something that we provide. So with 1 week of just understanding the theory behind entrepreneurship, we also give 1 week of mentorship with actual entrepreneurs from IIT Madras,
Okay.
who work with the students and solve real world problems. So students are given a real world problem statement. Of course, during current times, those problem statements are related to the COVID crisis that we're all in. And students actually come up with solutions, prototypes, business models for their solution that they've thought of. And the mentors guide them through the process based on their own experiences of having launched a startup themselves. And at the end of this whole week, the students get to pitch their ideas like a professional pitch that an entrepreneur would make.
Wow.
To an investor. So that's the idea of the program, of just experiencing the process of entrepreneurship, and students seeing that it's a very it's something possible, and it's not it's not something unachievable for them. That's the idea of it.
So do tell me how. I mean, you've gone through a few cycles of this, and you've interacted with many students around that. What has been the overall overriding emotion for the students?
So we've been through 4 to 5 batches already with LEAPS, and I personally conducted 2 batches. I facilitated 2 batches of LEAPS, and for me, the transformation that I saw within just 2 weeks in the students, like the amount of confidence that they developed in what they were saying and how they were thinking, was just amazing to see. There were like we worked with grade 9 and 10 students so far, and there were cases in which there was at least one group of 10th grade which pitched to the investor, and the investor actually offered them a startup funding of 50 grand to actually take their idea to the market. And the kids were really excited about doing that. Even now, like I get emails from a lot of the groups that we worked with saying, Didi, we want to take our idea further. Can you set up another mentoring session for us? We think we are on to something. We have a prototype. Can we discuss with you if we want to take this further, how to do it? And so at some point we have to like tell them to just first focus in school and then sort of also do this on the side. But just the fact that the kids are so enthusiastic about learning this new approach was phenomenal. And also just the feedback that we got about how it was something very simple what we tell them, like when we teach them, let's say, problem solving, we tell them to always find out the root cause of a problem. And that's something that we don't always think of very mindfully, but it's an essential part of the process. And when students just realize how easy it is to do, that sudden aha moment that they have in those sessions is just beautiful to watch as a facilitator for me.
Right. Yeah, as teacher, I would always say that first fall in love with the problem. If you fall in love with it enough, then you can get to the root of it. Otherwise, it's most of us, especially an adult mind, most of us, we look at the solutions. What could possibly solve this? Instead of first figuring out what is the problem. We're more into answering something than asking the question.
Exactly.
So that's a very fundamental pedagogical thought process. How did you or your group come to this approach?
So, like I mentioned, that this was coming from already what Devanshu and Samyak did during their college, because they themselves have worked with multiple startups and they're working on them parallelly as well. So just the practical wealth of experience that they've gained through college was what sort of sowed the seeds for this entire program, I would say. And then we do feed off a lot of energy of the students when we conduct the program, because it's something that we also personalize a lot, because we are also equally invested in the process. So there's a lot of personalizing as we go forth with the students as well. So for example, when like you were talking about the problem solving bit, like when I open my sessions on problem solving, the first thing that I ask all the kids is, if you were to see a person who's hungry in front of you, what would you do? And 99.9% of the kids will just say, I'll give him food, Didi, or we'll feed him, or we'll give him something. And that's when then I say, but what if he has food but he just can't digest it? Or what if he has a toothache and he just can't eat? Will you giving food solve the problem? And so that's just, so we use very, very relatable examples for the students' context in order to drive the point of what we're trying to say. And that is what I think makes it much more sort of usable for them in the next week when they actually apply this knowledge to come up with solutions. They connect those dots saying, oh, this is what she told me, kind of thing.
Right. So which part of your personal experience shines out when you are actually working with the students, or discussing with parents, or touching base with the school? Which part of your own growing up, education, nurture brings you there?
Right. So even though I have never been an entrepreneur, or I have never like done something of my own startup, sort of thing. But definitely, like my entire schooling process and my entire journey from there on has uh, been about taking a lot of risks, has been about experiencing a lot of different things and not boxing myself about how things should be done, essentially. And that's something I bring to anything I do as well. I Every time I meet a bunch of kids, I'm like, never let anyone tell you that this is the only way to do things, not even me. You know, if I am telling you something, still don't believe it, go explore for yourselves, you'll find something new. So that's one aspect which I always bring to my sessions. And of course, I have worked with students before. I have taught for 2 years in these grades, in the ninth to 10th grade classes. And the kind of relationships I have with students, it's very easy for me to interact with them. So even after one session, or just having, even if it's all virtual, I've had kids just messaging me, saying thank you so much for this session. This was really fun. And so just I love building those relationships with students. So that's something I value a lot and bring to my personal experiences to these sessions.
Would you like to give some tip to the parent? Because I have a lot of viewers who are parents, and what would enable them towards parenting is, we are always wondering, in juries always out there, whether we are doing right by our children. So what would you think, since you interact with a whole range of students, you are much closer to their generation, you approach with it pedagogically, you approach it entrepreneurially, you approach it as a friend and guide. What would be your suggestion to the parent of today for their child of tomorrow?
I think one thing what my parents have done for me is also something I believe that it probably was the right thing, is to never impose on me what they believed or what they thought was the right thing to do. They have completely let me develop as a person on my own. They've provided me all the information I needed, but the opinions are my own completely. And I think that's something every child requires today, the ability to analyze information for themselves. So never provide your opinions in things, give information, let the child develop their opinions. I always used to tell my kids, people will underestimate you because you're kids, but don't believe that. Every child has the same amount of creativity and intelligence as any adult on this planet. It's just experience that is different. And so experience as much as possible in childhood. You'll be as intelligent as any adult, but let those experiences form inside of you. Actually reflect on them and make something. So with the parents also, I just say, let the kids figure their way out. There is very, very few things that can go wrong, honestly. Like there's like a very 99% chance that they'll figure out and they'll do the right thing.
Right.
And take that 1% chance on them, I would say.
Fantastic. So let them figure it out 99% times. It would be all right, it would work out. And that 1%, I think intuitively, as nurturers, we know what is safe and unsafe, and over time the children very quickly figure out, because children are also very self-preserving. So they are quite conscious of safe and unsafe with very little nudge.
Absolutely.
So now that we are all reimagining education practically, we've paused. The good thing is that NEP 2020 has come out, and there's a lot of questions in there, but there's a lot of good forecasting in that. Very, very interesting steps and very interesting processes, which if we take on, we will be on the path.
Absolutely.
So what, if you were reimagining, what would be some of the key areas in education that you would be reimagining? I mean, I would call you an educator directly. It's just an out of school educator. And as we know that there's so much of learning which is more than classroom, more than school. So how would you reimagine those things?
Yeah, I think firstly the NEP is such a beautiful vision document that the government has created. If we actually realize that we will have like the best youth population in the country in the projected 20 years, if we do realize everything that's written there. Some things that I believe we need to reimagine in our education system is our students, who are the largest beneficiaries or the largest stakeholder in the system, have actually the least say in it when you think of where they stand.
Right.
And I think that needs to change. Before we change anything, we need to give students a place on our tables to actually have a say in what matters, in how, why, what, and when they should learn things. I think they need to have a say in that. So bringing students back at the center of the system would be very, very crucial from my point of view. And secondly, we've also like seen millions of reports by the UN, by every agency that exists, that within the next 5-10 years, the entire way we perceive jobs is going to change entirely. The way we think of employment is going to change entirely. So the question we need to ask is, are we preparing our children for employment? Are we preparing our children for the new jobs that are going to come in? Are we preparing them for the kind of technological revolution that's going to happen? So thinking of just academics is not going to cut it anymore. We have to bring in entrepreneurship, critical thinking, mindset changes for our students to be able to survive in this next century that's coming in. And so just ensuring that every classroom, every child walks out of school with not just physics, chemistry, maths, biology, or commerce or whatever, but an ability to see a situation, analyze it, solve a problem, think creatively, be critical, have an opinion, and just have all of these skills in their bag when they walk out. And that's when we say the playing field is now leveled, sort of thing.
Wonderful, interesting insights. I would like, as a last note, for you to share with us what are the immediate plans for LEAPS.
So we are looking to just expand the reach that we have with LEAPS. So far, we worked with 2 schools, multiple batches across those 2 schools. And so we are looking to partner with more schools to take this, because we do believe strongly that this program you can see how the students will evolve through it. It will be a very tangible effect that you will see, and we believe that students will benefit a lot from it, which is our main concern in everything that we do. We're also reaching out directly to students, to parents who would like to enroll themselves in the program and join us through this. And we can ensure you that it will be one of a kind experience that you will have. So the immediate, by December, we are hoping to at least work with 4 to 5 schools and at least conduct 3 to 4 individual batches with just students registering themselves separately. That's the immediate projection. In the long term, we really hope that this becomes just part of curriculum, that we don't have a separate program for it, but it's just part of school curriculum. That would be the ideal goal for this.
Amen, Tathastu, and Inshallah to that. Entrepreneurship, the mindset of entrepreneurship is the way to be, because the world is changing fast and all the time. And it's not for us to predict, but for us to flow through it. And for that, a mindset is important, skill we can learn.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
So thank you, Pratibha, and wish you and all the team of LEAPS all the best. I will watch out for this space and circle back to you in some time and see how it is all going. This is very, very heartwarming for the educator in me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nivedita. Thank you for having me.